Hi guys, and welcome to part C of this video series where we're looking at Typography Assessment 2 and what's expected from this type flashcards task. So in this last video we'll be looking at how to use the supplied Adobe Illustrator template. So you'll need to access this template, and to do so you will go into Blackboard, go into the typography subject, click on the assessment area on the left hand side and enter into Assessment 2, and once you do you will see this page will pop up and you will be able to access your resource from here, which will be the Adobe Illustrator file. I'm just going to pop over into Illustrator right now, and once you open the file it'll look just like this. So you'll have at the top this is the front of each postcard and this is the back of each postcard. The front will feature the photographs that you take for each of the top 10 typeface classifications, and the back will feature the written description of that particular typeface or classification, I should say. So I'll just zoom in a little bit and we'll concentrate on the front first. So what we can do is we can bring in an image and actually place it or use a clipping mask so that it's nicely positioned inside this area here. So to do so, to bring in an image, you go to File and choose Place. Then you'll need to navigate onto your computer where you've actually saved your photos. I've placed one here. This is for sans serif. And once you've navigated and found that image, just simply click Place. And click for the image to show up. Okay, so my image has come in larger and your images may well do the same. So I'll just scale down, making sure that I hold Shift. I'll scale down my image to a much more suitable size for this front of the postcard. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send this image to the back. So if I go to Object and go to Arrange, Send to Back, it's now been placed behind the text, but unfortunately it's not on the correct layer. So I need to make sure it's on the correct layer in order for me to create a clipping mask. And to do that I'm going to select the image and go Command C on a Mac, and then I will delete the image by pressing delete. Then I'm going to make sure I've got my layers up. Layers can be found under Window and then Layers. And I'm going to click on this middle layer, which is the layer that this particular box or rectangle has been saved on. For now I'm just going to lock the text layer. And now I'm going to go Command V on my computer, so that now it has now been placed on the correct layer. If you actually make sure that you select that layer first before you bring in the place the image, it should be on the correct layer. So now that I've got that selected, I'm going to choose Object, Arrange, Send to Back, and you can now see it is now behind that rectangle. Now it's really important that the image is behind the rectangle, otherwise my clipping mask is not going to work. So I'm just going to resize that down just a little bit more. The image is larger than the rectangle shape. So if I now select both the rectangle shape and the image by dragging over them with my selection tool, you can see they're both selected. I can now go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And once you do so, you can see it's nice and snug to the correct size. We do not need to worry about bleed for this particular assessment. So that's okay if this blue banner does hang over a little bit. So now that the image is in place, we will leave that banner on. It'll remain the same on every single postcard. So I'll just hold my space bar, and that will bring up my hand so I can drag down to the next rectangle, which is the back of the postcard. So this particular image is of a sans serif, so I will not need to change that text there, but you will need to put in your own text in this particular area here. So in order to do so, I'll need to make sure that my text layer is unlocked, and for now I will lock the text layer, lock the card template layer, and just make sure I've highlighted the text layer, and I should be able to select my type, and you will need to write your own text in this area here, so your own description in your own wording for what is a sans serif. You will also need to make sure that you include at least 2 popular font families for each typeface category somewhere within your description. So if you cannot see your text highlighting, sometimes that's the case, you might need to go to View, and it might have hide edges on. So you can see I now can't see my text shape. So make sure that you select your text, go to View, and go to Show Edges, and you should be able to now see the text that you select, and you can type in there as you wish. So once you've done that, please leave the rest of this template as it is. Leave the logo where it is, leave the A and the blue banner where it is, because this is A for answer. So at the front of the card it's got what type category is this. You look at the image, you might even have a pretty good idea what typeface that is, or the person viewing it might do as well, and then they can turn it around and see if they were correct and find out a little bit more information about that particular typeface. So now I'm just going to zoom out. So the template is only comes supplied with 1 page, but we of course need to create 10 individual pages. So in order to do that, what you can do is you can click on the Artboard tool in the Tools panel, and that will bring up a view such as this. And then if I start to drag and hold Option Shift, on a PC I believe it's Alt Shift, and move that over there, let go with my mouse, then let go with my keys, and you can see unfortunately it hasn't brought over the rectangle or the image. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to hit Command Z, and I'm going to unlock the card template. There we go. So this is a similar issue that you may have, so it's probably a good thing that I did stumble across that. So I have made sure I've unlocked the text and the card template layer so that they can copy over with it when I bring it. So now I should be able to drag, hold Option Shift on the Mac, Alt Shift on the PC, bring that over like so, let go, and now I have a duplicate of my page. It didn't bring over the heading, the font flashcard artwork, but that's okay. So now I can just go and zoom in over here. I don't want this image anymore, so if I select it and go Object, Clipping Mask, Release, I can now delete that image. The frame is still there. If you're concerned about where it is because you can't see it, you can go Command Y on a Mac, and that will give you like what's called an outline view, which is like an X-ray view. Command Y again gets you out of the outline view, or it's View Outline, View Preview. Otherwise, you can select that rectangle and hit the D key on your keyboard, and that will bring in the default colors for that. So obviously you'd need to do your next, bring in your next image, which would probably be your serif image. So we've already done the sans serif image over here, so we'd want to bring in our serif image here, and then move down to our text, and obviously we'd need to change this to say serif. We'd obviously need to change the text so it suits, remembering of course our two popular typeface font families for that particular type classification. And once we've done that, we go on and we keep repeating those steps until we have 10 pages and we've completed our 10 different typeface classifications. And then once we are happy with that, we'll need to, obviously you might want to run a spell check. So you go up to edit, and you go to check spelling, and then you can go through and check all your spelling, make sure you're happy with everything. And once you've checked your work and you've made sure that the images are correctly corresponding to your definitions, you need to save it as a PDF file. So to do that, you choose File, you go down to Save As, navigate to where you want to save your file, and change it from just saying font flashcard. You might want to put underscore your name and even possibly your student number. And where it says format, this is important, we need to change it from an AI file to an Adobe PDF file, because in the deliverables that's what it's asking for. So once you've done that, hit save, and then you can open up your PDF and check that the PDF is all correct with 10 pages. So once you've done that, as I said, you don't need to worry about bleed or trim marks or anything for this particular assessment. Once you've done that, you should end up with something like this. This is a previous student submission, so you can see the image up here, you can see the text down here. Please don't be tempted to change this text, change the font to something to correspond. For example, don't change it to a serif typeface just because it's a serif image. That's not necessary. Just leave it so that each back of the card is consistent, just like this one. So I'll quickly flick through. There you can see script image, script text, there's a definition, there's some font family inclusions there, and once you've done all that and you've checked your PDF, you're ready to submit to be graded. So just one last reminder, please check your deliverables for every assessment. Read through the deliverables, make sure you've answered them all, make sure that you're exporting your file as required before you submit it. Always proof your file beforehand, and then everything. If you can tick off all these boxes, usually everything's fine and you've covered all the criteria for the assessment. And yeah, so please enjoy this assessment task. I look forward to grading all your type flashcards, and I hope you enjoyed this short video series and you found it useful. Thanks for watching.